even though Michael Wolff is a controversial figure, and over the last weeks or months or years, whatever, where he's implicated. I shouldn't use that word, but he's in the proximity of a lot of controversy, and he's there giving an advice to people about how they can game the system with social credits and debts or whatever, or like doing favors accounting. Do a favor for that guy, and then they'll be in your debt and stuff like that. So he did, I guess, relationships like that. I guess there's some, in order to be a kind of really hardcore journalist, old school hardcore journalists like Michael Wolff. I mean, we got to give some leeway, I would imagine, for journalists who need to maintain relationships with nefarious characters. There is a bit of leeway, I think, because, look, Michael Wolff has direct contact with people. And so there is such a thing as keeping up appearances. But then again, I'm just speculating. I'm not a journalist myself. But anyway, what I'm going on about is, if we go through every damn video that I've recorded since the beginning of 2025, I am pounding the table essentially about one thing: sentence transparency and the boundedness of the sentence to our morality. And my frustration has to do with the discourse where individuals are constantly passing over sentences, slinging sentences really fast, and not discussing. See, now we can talk about the word discussing with a double Z for the next 10 minutes or not, right? Now, if you're Heather Cox Richardson and you give an account of loose cannon, it makes big impression, because how many of us really knew the definition of loose cannon? And now we learn the definition of loose cannon and we associate it directly with Donald Trump. That's brilliant. And that's due to Professor Cox Richardson. But now we have the real example. The real example that I've been waiting for 14 months for. I've been waiting to see it from Heather Cox Richardson, Joanne Freeman, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, all of them. Even though they have pathos, they're lacking the technical insight that is behind my intuition. And yet Michael Wolff has it already. Now, maybe it's only coming ripe now, timely, that is. But nevertheless, sooner or later, I was telling an ex this 2 or 3 years ago. I made a couple of statements like, well, ultimately, I think the battle is over who gets to keep Aristotle. Who owns Aristotle's tradition? It's a similar question to the question about who owns MAGA now after it's splintered. Is it the America First faction led by Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson? Or is it the blood and soil nationalists the Hitler people or whatever, or I don't know. The J.D. Vance wing, I guess, is the nationalist wing, the racist wing or whatever. They're all racist, but you've basically got nationalists, and then you've got a splintering. You've got another faction peeling off, roughly along the lines of Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Okay. About what? You hear the term Western civilization come up once in a blue moon. And yet, that is the conversation. The conversation is about civilization versus non-civilization. About civilization versus barbarism. About rationalism versus non-rationalism. That's the conversation. And Michael Wolff is the first person, even Lee Bollinger, who's dedicated his life to first, although I don't know. I mean, he's a pretty aggressive guy. I don't know who, and he doesn't interview people. He's not a journalist. And Joanna Coles misses it. She completely misses it. And it's no wonder, because what I've been saying is that everybody's missing it, because this is the only thing that I've been saying. Everything that I say just everything points right back to the sentence. Transparency and boundedness of your own sentence, to yourself and to the record, to the archive, to the record, to the testimony of you, about you, right? Okay, so
if he goes down in the midterms, if this, I'm to the can't talk at all, and I don't.
Okay, so this is Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, you might say that, or you might say, as I would, he wipes the floor with her.
You've asked two questions. The first was, do you believe Israel has a right to exist? And the second question was, do you believe Israel should continue to go on as a nation state? And those are very different questions. So I often hear the phrase...
Having been created as a political entity in 1948,
does it have a right to exist? Is that what you're asking?
I don't want to get hung up on the right. Should it continue to exist? That's how I define narrowly Zionism.
Because the phrase you used was devised by the Israeli government. Of course, does it have a right to exist? And so my question to you would be, what does that mean?
Why don't you answer my question? It's a very simple question.
I don't know what your question is. Are you asking, does it have a right to exist, or do I want it to exist? Do I seek its destruction?
Fine, answer it that way.
Well, of course I don't seek its destruction. I've already said, as you know, because I said it to you, I don't want Israel to be destroyed or have to use nuclear weapons.
We've established that you are in that narrow terms of Zionist. If that's
I'm in no sense a Zionist. I don't want any country to be destroyed, at all, and I don't want people to die, particularly ones who committed no crime, because I don't believe in killing innocents. Period.
Well, we didn't get a chance to hear his laugh there, which is in evidence during the interview.
Yeah, it is. But that's also a lesson, perfect lesson in how to debate. I mean, question somebody else's unquestioned language. And she just gave it up by essentially saying, well, let's not focus on what I said. Well, if we can't focus on what you said, what can we focus on?
I think she was just trying to keep the interview moving because he didn't want to, and he was I felt like he was trying to pirouette here.
Yeah, but she didn't keep it moving, and he punctured her. I mean, she was, you can't talk about that's an interesting thing, Israel's right to exist, and he's the language of that, and that's a phrase which people use without thinking, what does that mean? And the truth is, it doesn't mean anything, which she was relying on. Well, we all say this, and he caught her on that.
So what's inside Trump's head about
Dead. Well,
And then notice Joanna Coles, because she's obsessed. I shouldn't say obsessed, but she wants to keep it moving, and so she changes the subject to keep it moving. Right? Apparently. Whereas Michael Wolff has just said, "Well, hold on a second. The concept of a right to exist is an interesting thing, so we could talk about that." Listen again. Listen, and now I don't know who the interlocutor is. I don't know how that person got a chance to interview Tucker Carlson, but they need to go back to school.
He did with Zanny Minton Beddoes, who's the editor of The Economist and a friend, and I admired her stoicism in.
Oh, she's the editor of The Economist.
With his provocation.
Zoe, what?
in reasonableness.
Well, I think we have a clip from it. This is an interview.
Long interview, and it's puncture.
He did with Zanny Minton Beddoes, who's the editor
Zanny Minton Beddoes
of The Economist and a friend, and I admired her stoicism in line with his provocation.
Well, I mean, you might say that, or you might say, as I would, he wipes the floor with her.
You've asked
Or-
two questions. The first,
You might say that I admire her stoicism, or you might say that he wipes the floor with her. And it's like, that's lost on Joanna Coles. What the fuck? Come on. Pay attention to the words.
was, do you believe Israel has a right to exist? And the second question was, do you believe Israel should continue to go on as a nation state? And those are very different questions. So I often hear the
Having been
phrase,
created as a political entity in 1948,
does it have a
that
right
state?
to exist? Is that what you're asking?
I don't want to get hung up on the right.
No.
Should it?
No.
I couldn't hear what she said. I don't think I slowed it down. She says, I don't want to get hung up on the right what? You see, she's taking it back. I've gotten into, this is the main shit between whatever tension between me and my father right now. He comes at me. We don't talk very often. He gets on the phone with me and he says, Mamdani's a Muslim and all Muslims are butchers. And I'm like, Ramadan Mubarak? Dude? So what? You want to talk about Islam or? He's like, no, I don't want to talk about Islam. And I'm like, what? You want to keep it moving? Nope. No. There is no moving past saying that all Muslims are butchers or that Mamdani is a communist or this or that is a communist. Same shit happened about the communism. He said, so-and-so are communists. I'm like, all right, what works on communism have you been reading? And he's like, I don't read any communism. Let me say this carefully, my fellow Americans. It is impossible to reject a view you do not understand.